The city of Kirkland has close to 500 acres of forested and natural areas in our city parks that make neighborhoods more healthy and attractive. These ecological expanses enhance our water, air, and land. And to help preserve these areas, a unique partnership was formed, the Green Kirkland Partnership. The partnership is a collaborative effort between the City of Kirkland, Forterra, other nonprofits, and an engaged community of volunteers who help to create a living legacy for the future of a healthy city. One person working towards that goal is Kirkland Green Steward Jody Galvan.
I've been interested in nature and the environment since I can remember, since I was little, and my passion has always been around wildlife biology and wildlife habitat restoration. And so now living in the city and being in the city, I think it's really important to take care of our urban wildlife habitat and keep that in as good of condition as it can be in. And then the best is to see people, families, community members out enjoying those spaces and connecting with nature. I think it's really important for people that live in neighborhoods and cities to be able to have a little time in a natural area and get a chance to reconnect with trees and the soil and our fish and wildlife species that are native to this area and just have some peaceful time in nature.
In 2014, volunteers dedicated over 8,900 hours to 250 events, which has made a lasting impact to Kirkland's forest health. You can join the partnership and participate one time, multiple times, or overtime. Either way, you'll have a great sense of accomplishment.
Behind me, you can see very thick Himalayan blackberry that's growing, and I think it's really important to point out that having those thick, dense, in this case thorny, invasive weeds are part of what make our forested natural areas less inviting for people to be out and to enjoy. Whereas here, where I'm standing, you can see that the area has been cleared of the blackberry and that we have a lot friendlier native plants growing. And you can just see that this particular site is much more open, it's much more inviting. You can see around you. This is something that's also an important safety feature for people to be able to feel like they have some knowledge about what's happening in their environment around them. And so if I had volunteers here, we would continue to remove the really thick, dense, invasive Himalayan blackberry that's growing and preventing our native plants from being able to thrive in this area. We would likely put mulch, woody mulch, around the native plants that we have planted in the cleared area. That's going to help them retain moisture and reduce weeds from regrowing. And so if you were to come back here in 3 or 4 years, you would see these trees being a lot bigger. You would see, depending on the time of year, some beautiful, dainty little wildflowers growing on the ground, and you would see nice native shrubs that are bearing edible fruits.
Those looking to make a greater commitment can become green stewards. These super volunteers plan restoration events and educate members of the community. Katie Cava, Kirkland Green Partnership Program Assistant, explains more.
A lot of the work that we do on the ground is based on a steward model, and so the way our program works is that we have 3.5 permanent staff, and we support 26 active stewards, and what that allows us to do is multiply the amount of work we can do on the ground. And so last year, 90% of our volunteer events were led by stewards. We use trained volunteers and give them ongoing training, and so that's another thing that I do is give them training on plant ID and best management practices, and then fun things like ethnobotany, and make sure that we are all on the same page, we being city staff and the volunteers and the stewards, on what we're going to do in a park. So I think it's really important, and I think that when it's done well, it makes our program more successful because our stewards feel really supported and empowered, and they know what they're doing, and also we as staff are often congratulating them on how far they've gotten. Because they're often just looking at the next patch of blackberry or ivy to get out of the park, and they're not kind of looking backwards at all the work that they've already done. So a lot of what we do is just tell them how awesome they are.
Becoming a steward requires dedication and a certain set of skills.
You need to be really committed and dedicated to your particular park. It's important because the city will invest a lot of resources in the stewards and training them and making sure that they have all the supplies and tools that they need to be able to lead volunteer events successfully. So it's really, it's something that ideally you've got a person who is going to be staying in that geography for a while, is going to be committed to that particular park site. and excited to learn more about restoration techniques, really engaging and happy to work with a broad range of people, young people, old people, people that have never volunteered doing something like this before. So you really need to be open and engaging and excited to learn and committed to your park.
We want our stewards to be passionate about something. So sometimes our stewards are really passionate about building community. And so hosting restoration events are a way that they can bring to get people together in their neighborhood and have them volunteer in a park, and they can build community. Other times our stewards are really passionate about building wildlife habitat, and so they can come into a park and do restoration events, and that's a way to increase the habitat value in a park. What I think makes a good steward is that they're passionate about something and they see urban habitat restoration as a way to accomplish that goal, but the same thing doesn't bring all the stewards to the program. So I think that makes us a stronger program because stewards are excited about different things.
Looking at the bigger picture, the city created a plan to envision what the natural areas should look like by the year 2035.
In 2008, City Council approved our first forest and natural areas restoration plan, and that is essentially a high-level plan that guides our program. So it doesn't get down to the specifics, like in Crestwoods Park, we're going to remove ivy here and plant Douglas fir trees here, but it guides how we need to grow as a program. So in 5 years, this is where acreage enrolled needs to be, this is how many volunteer hours we need, this is how much funding we need, and it projects that out to 20 years, with the goal being that we would have our over 300 acres in restoration at the end of the 20 years. Well, in 2012, the city of Kirkland annexed the northern neighborhoods, and so we grew as a city not only in population but also in acreage. And so we are in the process and almost done updating our 20-year forest and natural area restoration plan so that we are kind of resetting the clock. So we're starting at 0 years and going out another 20 with the goal of restoring the acreage we had plus the 115 acres we added into our natural area portfolio.
Getting involved is easy and fun. Even dedicating a few hours can make a positive impact.
I would say just give it a try. Just come out to a volunteer event. Pick one that's not a really long event. A lot of us have events that are only 1 or 2 hours long, which is a great way to just give it a try. Come out in the winter and plant a tree, plant some native shrubs with us, and then come back in the spring and see your little native plants and trees growing. It's really exciting, it's really motivating, and I would be surprised if it didn't inspire you to get out there and try it again.
To get involved with the Green Kirkland Partnership, go to greenkirkland.org.